Well, good morning and welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking on this video. And if you did click on this video, I want to assure you this is exactly what you think it is. I'm talking about touching your wood. How many times do you touch your wood from the time you fell a tree to the time you put it in the fireplace to burn? Okay? Now, I want to also qualify exactly what touching your wood really means. So I'm not talking about just kicking it around with your foot or rolling a log over so you can cut the other side of it. I mean actually picking up the piece of wood and moving it somewhere. So I want to take you back to the late 70s, early 80s, back when I was between 8 to 15 years old. And I used to touch my wood a whole lot more than I do now, and here's why. We had simple tools. And if we wanted to go get wood, we had to do it this way. We would, of course, have an electric chainsaw. Now, this actually is a real convenience. This is a battery-operated electric chainsaw. My dad always used a plug-in electric chainsaw, and he was usually close to somebody's house, probably in their backyard. Now, if we're going to limb this tree, the first thing we're going to do is we each had a hatchet, and this is the exact hatchet right here. This is the hatchet I used when I was young, and we'd go and we'd limb a tree. So my dad, this is good burning right here. Anything less than the size of his thumb, we'd get rid of. So we would limb up this tree, and I always thought I could, really hack off the big branches too. But it's just ridiculous. We don't hack off the big branches. Big branches are, they're good burning. So anyway, we get this thing cut down. Whoop, missed. About where it needed to be. Once you're done hacking it, that's a touch. Absolutely, you picked it up. But let's not count that one. Let's just talk about the tree as it's falling on the ground, okay? So let's pretend this is the tree we fell. We're gonna take our chainsaw. We haven't touched it yet. All we did was knock it down, okay? We're gonna cut it up. So let's cut a length. Cut from this side. Okay, now multiply this times 100, okay? So we're gonna take our tree, that's definitely a touch, and we're gonna put it, each piece, into a wheelbarrow. Now we gotta get it to the truck. All right, so my dad would be cutting, and us boys would all be touching our wood. We'd be picking it up and putting it in the wheelbarrow. Then, of course, you gotta load the truck. So you pick it up, another touch, and you put it in a truck, times 100. So now you get your wood home, of course, and you got to touch it again. Got to unload it from the truck. So now this wood is small enough, of course, that we can just throw this right in the stove. But a lot of wood needs to be split. And of course, the rule of thumb is the smaller your wood, the more you have to touch it. So if this is one piece of wood and we make it into two, you got to touch it twice as much. Now, whether you have to split your wood or if your wood's small enough already, next it needs to be stacked. We like to try and get the truck close enough so we can just stack straight out of the truck. But if your wood's too big and you had to split it, then of course you have to touch it again and again, and every time you split it, you take each one of those pieces and you stack them on the pile. So now your wood is sat all summer long and it's fully seasoned and it's ready to be burned. So now we have to touch it again, put it in the wheelbarrow, and bring it inside. My dad has always taken his wood off the pile and brought it into this enclosed back porch where he will touch it again, unload it from the wheelbarrow, and stack it in racks on the back porch. So now when it's time to burn, of course that means one more touch, bringing it inside off the back porch and putting it in the wood box, which should be enough. But there's still one more touch, taking a piece of wood and putting it into the stove to burn. For a grand total of 7 times touching your wood before it goes into the fireplace. And that's a conservative number. I mean, when we're talking about splitting wood, of course, you're going to be touching it way more. Every split is another piece, is another touch. So I have tried in my wood yard, of course, to minimize that. Now, let's talk about how I did that. Of course, the very first piece of equipment that helps you to stop touching your wood is tractor. So the more time you spend on your tractor, the less time you're going to spend touching your wood. And that's because the tractor can pick up all the pieces from large logs. I cut my logs into 80-inch pieces, which is 5 16-inch rounds, and that is 5 pieces of wood that I don't have to touch, that it picks up, puts into the trailer. Now there's your second piece of equipment, the trailer. I got a dump trailer. Now I used to have a flatbed trailer, which you would load it with the tractor and then have to unload it with the tractor. So once again, the tractor is invaluable when it comes to not touching your wood. So now that I have a dump trailer, the tractor can sit back and I just dump all the wood out, and then the tractor can pick it up and move it into the barn. Then I created this log deck, okay? And because I have this big deck, I don't have to touch my wood before I cut it. This huge deck helps me to stop touching my wood. And the tractor just loads the deck, I cut up the wood. So that's the very first time that I touch my wood. When I take the round from where I've cut it and put it on the splitter to split it, that's the first time. I haven't touched it since I cut down the tree, since I loaded it in the trailer, since I dumped it out of the trailer, moved it into the barn, and brought it to the deck to be cut. The very first time that I touch a piece of wood, lift it up and move it, is to that. Now, if I can somehow eliminate that, I sure will. I'll try. And then, of course, it comes to splitting it, and you're just tossing pieces, and then you have to stack it. That's the worst. Stacking it is the worst. This stuff over here that I don't have to stack, you know, my dad's wood, I touch it the least I possibly can, because once it's there, all I have to do is scoop it and put it into the dump trailer and then dump it at his house. So let's put all of the heavy machinery aside. Maybe you don't have a tractor, maybe you don't have a dump trailer. I'm going to tell you some ways to try and reduce the amount of times you touch your wood with just the primitive basic essentials. So you have to have a truck. Number one, get that truck or trailer as close to the felled tree or to the source of wood as you can. So when you're bucking up your pieces into pieces that are manageable for you to lift, get that truck or trailer as close to that so you're just lifting it directly from there into the truck. Because if you can eliminate that wheelbarrow or maybe an ATV with a trailer, if you have to go in somebody's backyard, if you can eliminate that, that's 2 touches, taking it from the site into the wheelbarrow, from the wheelbarrow into the truck. Right there, that helps the most. You can't always do that, but if you can get your truck as close to the source of wood as possible, that's going to help. Number 2, when you bring the wood home and you're unloading it, unload right where you're going to split it and stack it. Don't go messing around with having different, like I've got these different stations because I need room for my tractor. No. Do it all in one place. Touch your wood in one place only. So it comes out of the truck, it gets split, and it gets stacked right there. That's going to eliminate the need for wheelbarrows and transportation of pieces and that and this and all. You know, get it all done. My dad, we used to stack it in the backyard behind the pool, so that was even another touch, 2 touches, because we'd have to take it from we couldn't drive the truck in behind the pool. We'd have to take it from the truck and trailer, split it all up and move it all back there and stack it. So it's just ridiculous. It's the way he did it, and that's the way we did it for all these years. So this is why I obsess about it. Anyway, now after you've split it and stacked it and it's seasoned, if you can bring it directly into the house from that stack. So if you're stacking, you don't want to stack your wood right next to your house because bugs and critters and stuff are going to get into your house. That you can't leave wood to season without expecting it to have some critters in it. It's going to happen. So you can't have it right next to your house. But if you can get it to where you can go out, get it from that pile and take it directly in to be burned, that's the second way that's going to eliminate probably 2, maybe 3 more touches in between that. So in conclusion, of course, none of us have gotten into this whole business without the idea that we're going to touch. I mean, I've seen some people that don't touch their wood at all. They go straight into a firewood processor and it goes up a conveyor and into a dump trailer. If you've got a conveyor, now that's gonna be, oh my gosh, conveyor helps you to stop touching it almost completely. So, but we didn't get into this industry thinking we're never gonna touch our wood. We're gonna touch it some. So all I'm trying to say is trying to be efficient and keep things in proximity so that you're not moving too much from one place to another too many times. It's going to help you not touch your wood as much as possible, at least, because when it comes down to it, you know, our backs are not getting any younger, none of us. So the less lifting we have to do and the more we can let machines do it for us, the better. So I hope you really appreciated this video and got something out of it. If you need any more tips on how not to touch your wood, be sure and leave a comment and you know, let everybody else know what you do and how many times you touch your wood. So I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time when I am doing more stuff. Thanks for watching.